there, my name's Porsha Lauri. Welcome to or welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing something real fun. I told you guys in a couple videos ago where I was talking about Smart House that I really wanted to talk about Disney Channel original movies and how silly their plot lines were or the morals that they were trying to teach us as kids. My original plan was to kind of do a video per movie, but when I started to look at how many Disney Channel original movies there are, I realized that that's a little bit ridiculous. So instead, I've decided to compile some of my favorite DCOM originals into categories that we can discuss. If that sounds like fun to you, please do me a solid and drop a like on this video. If you run over to the subscribe button and then hit the bell next to it, you'll be notified every time I upload. Let's go ahead and just roll into it. Growing up, Disney Channel original movies were a staple of my childhood. They really started to get popular during the late 90s. I believe 99 was when Disney Channel original movies were really created. Now, Disney had a background of doing movie of the week style movies, but usually they would air on ABC, and they would usually be on like Sunday nights, and there'd be a new one every week for a long time, and then in the 90s that kind of slowed down to usually around once a month. In 99, a movie called Underwraps, that we're gonna get more into later, came out, which basically started this surge of Disney Channel original movies. When I was a kid, there was a new one every month. It typically starred someone who was either in a very popular Disney Channel TV show at the time, or they were just working with Disney a lot. A Disney Channel kid in the 90s, you would recognize these faces because they would pop up over and over again in TV shows and their movies and all that kind of stuff. I feel like if you work for Disney, like you're just kind of, they shuffle you around. They put you wherever they feel like they need to put you. You know what I mean? And while I do love these movies dearly, I can see now as an adult how some of these plot lines are a little bit like, what's happening? And I thought I'd go over some of like the craziest, most wild plot lines with you today. So the first movie I want to talk about is the movie that started it all, according to like Wikipedia, Underwraps. So Underwraps came out in 1999 on the Disney Channel, and it was about three kids who lived in the neighborhood, and they were really curious about the weird neighbor that lived on their street. It's a folklore that's being told about this guy, how he's crazy, how he's killed people. He had a crazy, insane death. But anyway, there's this abandoned house that they've heard stories about, and one night they decide to break into the house because kids love to commit crimes. There's really no point. Like, they just break into this guy's house, I think, to have some street cred. But little do they know, hiding in his house is a sarcophagus with a real mummy inside. And that mummy, of course, because it's Disney Channel, comes to life. So while you're obviously thinking like, well, there's a mummy that comes to life, so that's clearly like the most ridiculous part, to me, it's the fact that these kids break and enter into this guy's house, and I don't think that they ever are held accountable for it. I feel like there's a motive for it, but I couldn't really find a clip online that really showcased why they trespassed into this guy's house in the first place and how they got away with it. So not only does this mummy come to life, this mummy becomes their friend. I can't imagine people that were living in the era where we had mummies, where we were mummifying people. Is that the right terminology? I hope so. I can't imagine that someone from that century would wake up and the first thing they're thinking is, let me befriend these three children, instead of, I don't know, killing them. I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense, but they become like the best of friends. And the guy can't talk because, again, he's a mummy. And I just don't, like how? Like how? So they're just like keeping the mummy in each other's houses. And like no one ever finds them because Disney. And it doesn't make any sense. Not only that, the mummy has a girlfriend. Yes, the mummy has a girlfriend that he has to find in order to something. I don't know. The movie ends with them having to get the mummy back into the sarcophagus so that he doesn't vanish forever. And I think they find the neighbor guy, and he had faked his own death for like tax evasion. So I think he ends up, like, something bad ends up happening to him. And I just don't know what the point of this entire movie was. I'm not really sure what I was supposed to leave, what type of knowledge I was supposed to leave with. And I probably should have rewatched the movie, but just like, I remember even as a kid being like, what was that about? What was the point? I still don't get it. Like Underwraps, I feel like Disney Channel really liked to do things that were completely over the top, dealt with like a little either magic or just things that people don't necessarily believe in, but something that a child would believe in, right? Leads me into our next movie, Stepsister from the Planet Weird. So when this movie came out, I remember this was one of my favorite movies. I loved it. I watched it over and over and over again. And when I reread the plot line, I realized how absolutely batshit crazy this movie is. Let me backtrack for you. So Megan Larson has a pretty typical modern family, I guess you could say. Her parents are divorced and she's really upset about that. She really wishes that they could be together. Her dad is a workaholic. That's how Disney always explains like the missing dad figure. And her mom is this like cool, beachy, yoga loving, like hippie, I would say. They live next to the ocean. She has a pretty rockin' life and like, you know, a pesky little brother. And how could I forget? Of course, she's vying for the attention of the most popular guy in school, who is also played by an idiot, which is also a common trope in Disney Channel original movies. I don't know why if a guy was popular and could do well in sports, he couldn't also have a brain, but I digress. So things are going okay in Megan's life until her mom meets this new character in town, Cosmo, which right off the bat, I'm already on edge. Like if I was Megan, I'd probably hate this guy too. His name's Cosmo. It's a weird name, okay? You already know, like, if someone has some name from another planet, they're probably going to be casted as the crazy person. And he is, for the most part. But there's a reason behind all of that we'll get to in a second. Now, Cosmo has a daughter about Megan's age named Ariel. I totally forgot her name. Okay, her name doesn't matter. What we find out once we meet her is that her and her dad are aliens, but not your normal alien, not like a big green guy with big eyes. They're bubble aliens. Bubble aliens. Who came up with this idea? Anyway, hilarity ensues. So the thing about this movie is it actually does have a really solid plot line. If you think about it, it's very relatable to other things. So they're aliens from another planet, and they're here because they are refugees of their planet, essentially. Their planet is having problems dealing with freedom and religious views. Are you making connections here to what else we could say this movie might be comparing to in real life? So the plot line is all there. All the components are there. It's actually a pretty layered plot line for a Disney Channel movie, which I commend. I think that's awesome. My problem with this movie is the fact that they're bubbles. They're bubbles. They're bubbles. It's so dumb. Like, it's very creative and original and authentic, and I've definitely not seen anyone do something like this before or since. But bubbles, like, and if the people storming Area 51 actually find some aliens, it's gonna be really awesome. However, if they're bubbles, I feel like the excitement level like drops significantly. And even in this movie, like, they don't animate the bubbles to make them look like, I don't know, cool or scary or intimidating. They're bubbles. They're bubbles. And they're scared of wind. Also, Megan ends up not with the main guy, because that's how Disney Channel works. Like, you know, you think you're gonna be with the cool guy, but you end up being with like some other guy. And the guy that she ends up falling for at the end of it is an alien. Also, so is her mom. And I rewatched this movie, but I kind of don't remember this piece of information, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think her mom ever finds out that they were aliens. So she's also in a cross-species relationship. And that's the part that I don't understand. Is that okay? Are we okay with that? What's the result of that? Are they gonna have some kind of weird baby, like Twilight style? I just have a lot of questions. Bubble aliens. fucking dumb. So Disney's obviously been ahead of the game for a long time, and I feel like their Disney Channel original movies always dealt with things that weren't quite happening yet, but possibilities that could happen in the future. And I kind of feel like that's what gave the plot for the next couple movies I'm going to talk about. The Other Me, with one of the Lawrence brothers. I was obsessed with the Lawrence brothers. They did all those movies together. I totally watched Brotherly Love. I loved Matthew Lawrence because of Boy Meets World, Jack. But the youngest one was my age, and I remember just having the biggest crush on this kid. And when this movie came out, I was so stoked for it. I actually think that this movie aged pretty damn well. The Other Me starred the youngest of the Lawrence brothers. It's not Joey, it's not Matt, it's Andrew Lawrence. I was gonna get there, I figured it out. Andrew Lawrence plays this kid who's a little bit of a slacker. He just doesn't fully apply himself to anything or really seem to have motivation for anything except for yo-yoing and skateboarding. He just, he's just kind of skating by life. He's not really trying, he's not really applying himself, and he's not really necessarily a bad kid, he's just kind of existing on the planet. But when his grades start to reflect this lifestyle, his parents threaten him with military school, which I feel like was a very common theme in kids' movies in general, not just Disney. But there was always this element of fear that at any point in time, your parents would ship you off, essentially decide to not be your parents anymore, and send you to a military school, which I know this happened to kids. These schools really exist, but like I've never met any kid that actually this happened to. So I don't know how common this situation really is. Instead of going to military school, because like, duh, what kid wants to do that? He decides that he's gonna order this Ocean Pups make your own Seahorse cloning kit thing. Orders this project to get some extra credit in science. Then after several weird coincidences, he somehow ends up dropping a piece of his hair into the kit, and after stirring a very large amount of water that I don't know where it came from such a small tank with no water pump, explode, and suddenly he has created a clone of himself that he names Tui. I recently bought this one because I had to just re-see it. Even upon second viewing as an adult, I kind of still don't remember the movie. My problem really is just the ridiculousness of him having a clone. And there's so many missed opportunities that, like, if you created a clone of yourself, like, think about how many things you would try to pull off. And really the only thing he does is send the clone to school, because he doesn't feel like going to school. And that's pretty much it. Like, there's so many missed opportunities of twin things to do. Like, freak people out, play pranks, intentional pranks on your parents, go on a date with someone and constantly switch back and forth to see if they can tell who they're on a date with. I mean, there's just a lot of things that he could have done. And I just feel like he played it so safe, and that's like that's the non-realistic part. Also, when he's at the school dance later and the two scientists are trying to get the clone back so that they can, I don't know, claim like they created cloning and make money or whatever, these two grown-ass men just walk into a school dance and they're just in there for at least 20 minutes. And that frightens me. But this was also, a little over 15 years ago. I don't want to talk about how old this movie is anymore. Let's move on. The last movie I want to talk about really kind of goes off of the last trend of like this futuristic technology and what that would mean in the hands of a child and what the outcome of that would be. We have Pixel Perfect, which I think this is by far one of the most over-the-top and silly plot lines. Just listen. I don't know if this movie was that widely liked. I remember when it came out, and I just don't remember really anybody talking about it. So I feel like this is one of those movies that just kind of, fell under the rug, passed under the rug, swept under the rug. So Pixel Perfect was about a girl rock band, and I believe that they're auditioning for some big Battle of the Bands type thing going on in their town. Their first audition a director or some dude, like some powerful dude, says that...
Oh, put the brakes on.
Something wrong, Mr. Moxley?
Do you sing lead on all the songs?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, love. Put down the guitar. Let's see you move. All right, give me some Britney. Give me some Jagger.
Which obviously that doesn't age very well. It was definitely on par with what was going on in society at that time, unfortunately. Upon hearing this, Samantha's, the lead singer's best friend, decides he wants to help the band make it big. And his dad is working on this next level holographic technology to be used for whatever they're trying to do it for. Probably entertainment and like schools, things like that. I don't really remember the ins and outs. Anyway, he creates a holographic figure to be the front of the band. She can dance, she can sing harmony, and it will give the band the edge that they need on the competition because no one else has a holographic player in their band. So not only does this kid essentially make a realistic looking hologram, they play a show and she malfunctions on stage and the crowd goes wild. They love it. They're so into this holographic idea. It's so cool and futuristic, I guess. But it's just like instantly, like people are excited about it. And then another big plot line, besides the fact that this girl band needs someone singing and dancing in the front in order for them to make it big, is that there's this love triangle that is created between Phil of the Future, this girl, and the hologram. And it's something that it's like a main point of the movie, is that Samantha's really into Phil of the Future, but Phil of the Future kind of has a crush on the woman he created. The hologram. Like literally, like you can't touch her. Like she's a hologram. So we have a lot of issues to deal with besides hyper male toxicity. I don't know. There's a lot of problems that we have to deal with in this movie. Another layer on top of that is the fact that the hologram develops feelings.
It's not fair you made me like this. You should have made me real.
Look, from now on, no more tinkering with your programs, all right? You're already everything I wanted you to be.
What about what I want to be?
And I don't remember why she would develop feelings. I've never understood how robots can go from doing what we say to doing whatever they want, but it just seems like that's always the leap it makes, every single time. So like, why don't you just create them to just do what you want? Like, why can't she just be a projection? Why does she have to have developed feelings and emotions and thoughts? And why is that a layer of this story? It should just be about the fact that they don't need some girl dancing and having her midriff showing to be a good rock band. I'm getting really heated. I actually really liked this movie when I was a kid, but upon second viewing as an adult, it's gonna be a hard no for me. Well, I think that's gonna do it for me today. I hope that you enjoyed listening to my thoughts on some of these really over-the-top Disney Channel original movies. In the comments below, tell me what your favorite Disney Channel original movie is, and tell me if it has a ridiculous plot or something a little bit more relatable. Also, let me know if you like this kind of video. If you want me to keep talking about Disney Channel original movies, then make sure you slap that like button at the bottom. Don't forget to hit my red subscribe button and the bell next to it to be notified every time I upload. So I also know in the Smart House video I mentioned how I was going to talk about Xenon, and I haven't really gotten to do that yet. I've filmed the video like literally 3 times, but every time I do it, it just isn't coming out right. So let me know in the comments. If you guys are really interested, I'll try filming it again. Maybe I'll just talk about all the movies all at once. I don't know. But let me know if you are interested in that kind of content. Thank you for stopping by my channel and listening to me blabber on about the Disney Channel. I hope to see you in my next video, and I'll catch you later. Bye!